welcome to Subtrending, the show where we talk about the last week in geek news. Today on the show we have Thomas, Dan, Emily, and I'm Jessica. And I know that Thomas was on here last week, but Dan and Emily are actually both new. How do you guys feel about the show? You excited? Nervous?
Yeah, I feel
I'm
pretty
super
good.
pumped.
Sweet.
I'm gonna have a mental breakdown.
There we go. That's the type of energy that we would like to see. So much better than Tony and Andrew last week. God.
Right.
How dare they exist?
I know, right?
Norfest.
It's like they don't work hard or do tons of things. Okay, so this week we're going to start with, and I feel like this week has been so heavy in DC news, so I apologize if you were completely over this and you were like, I do not care about Batman at all, or Superman, or anybody in that universe, but we're going to start with that. The reviews for Batman vs. Superman, the whole experience was really bizarre, because I remember, I logged on the computer Monday, and every review for it was amazing. People are saying, oh, it's like the best portrayal of Ben Affleck as Batman, and like this was great, and this was great, and this, and then by Wednesday, it had a 33 on Rotten Tomatoes, and everybody's saying it was the worst superhero movie made, worse than Daredevil. Like, Ben Affleck's performance was still okay, but everything else about it was convoluted and messy and terrible, and just anything that you could say bad about a movie, it was said about it. And like the whole sad Affleck thing is now a meme.
That was my favorite.
I know. So it's really weird because I felt like it did a complete 180, and I don't know if it was necessarily deserving of that. And I don't want to get into a review here because I know we all saw it. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, and we had our own review of this in a video a while ago, not too long ago, but we clearly had a pretty wide range of views. Some of us liked it a lot, some of us thought it was okay, some of us weren't as big of fans of it. But on Rotten Tomatoes, I think yesterday I checked and it's sitting at a 24% with critics. And that just, like, Sharknado is sitting at an 84% right now, actually, with critics. So that just seems like a strange disparity between those two. It almost, and I don't want to get too conspiracy theory, but it almost seems like Marvel has a controlling stock in Rotten Tomatoes at this point.
Yeah.
That's just kind of odd to me. And my expectations of the movie were so low because of that. But I went in and I thought it was okay. It wasn't my favorite movie, but I just, thought it was nothing like what the reviews were saying.
Yeah.
It definitely not 24% material. And I don't know, it must have somebody must have started saying something bad about it and then everybody just jumped on the bandwagon to feed into that controversy or something.
I mean, you guys all know how I felt about the movie. I didn't love it. I felt a lot of bad. There's some good. I think that 24 is a bit low of what I would say. But I was actually talking to Thomas about this last night. I think that critics are overly critical. And even though, yes, Batman vs. Superman and Sharknado should be held to the same standard, they're not. I don't think that people see it that way. People reviewing Sharknado are going to be like, oh yeah, hilarious, good job, but there's such a high expectation of Batman vs. Superman, and then when people feel like it's not met, it's ugh. I think it's almost like an anger thing. I know I had said personally, feel kind of mad because I feel let down. And I think that's what other people are feeling as well.
Now, out of curiosity, since I think that out of everybody, you probably did like it the least, what would you give it if you had to give it a percentage score, an
33.
out of 33?
That's what I told Thomas last night, and I stick by it.
Wow.
33. Yeah. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But like I told you guys, I think it was a movie for comic book fans. And me not being familiar with the comic books, I think everything that was, kind of an homage to the comics didn't resonate with me, so I was like, whatever, that just seems kind of silly.
And it probably felt more like gaps from, you know what I mean? You didn't quite understand, why this was a thing that people were excited about or why it was happening. And
it was just very vague to me, and it didn't have a lot of meaning. Which is, it's fine. It's, movies aren't for everybody.
Yeah.
But, you guys all really liked it. I think, out of our friend group, I would say 80 to 90% of us, really enjoyed it, and I was kind of the outlier.
Yeah, probably. So.
That makes sense. I think that it's the job of a critic to evaluate a piece of media and let the public know, how they're probably going to feel about it. And when you have the critics just vastly just having the movie be played down as much as it is, and having the public react relatively positively to it, the critics are obviously entitled to their opinion, but I feel like they fail the public a little bit then if there's that much of a disparity. Like, I think that they just didn't really do their job right there.
I completely agree. I think that's a really good point because it seems like, and maybe it's just the circles I run in, because you can never quite tell with Facebook. But most people, there's a few people who were saying, some negative things about it. But it was more they had opinions where I feel like they would say like maybe a 50%, like it was half and half, like, oh, there was some good, but there was some really bad. And like that makes complete sense to me, and even people who are like less of fans, like Emily saying, 30%, like makes sense. I can understand that. But I feel like the majority of people who I've seen have all been like, it's not that bad. I don't understand why it's getting so low of ratings. Maybe, somewhere in the 70-80 range, like 70 probably. But
just for reference, when I checked yesterday, it was 24% on the critic rating. The audience rating was at, I believe, 74%. So
and
that's
that seems
50% difference. That's huge.
That's way too big of a difference.
I mean, something's going on there.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of people saying, throwing up the Marvel conspiracy flag, and
I don't really believe that.
I don't really think that's a thing. I think that's a pretty wild accusation to make. But I do think it is weird that if you look at it, the same critics who are giving Batman vs. Superman such low scores are the same people who were giving Age of Ultron like 90s. And in my opinion, and this, and I'm so biased because I like DC more than Marvel. I just always have. But I think that seems a little strange because for me, I was more bored watching Age of Ultron than I was watching Batman vs. Superman. Like, significantly so.
It's important to remember critics are human and they're, vulnerable to the same biases that any other human is. If there's a DC Marvel rivalry, as we all know that there is, that's probably going to play out in this kind of thing, and that sucks, but that's just how it is.
Yep. And I guess kind of going off that, let's get into a little bit of Marvel news. This isn't really have anything to do with the whole thing against DC or any of that, but it's just some policy changes that they might be making. And the first one actually Dan told me about, and I guess Marvel is now banning smoking in all of their movies. This includes even their adult ones because, as you know, Disney owns, not Marvel, Disney. Disney owns the Marvel movies, it owns Star Wars, it owns so much, and smoking is now officially nixed.
I just had a realization about it. Like, this whole time I've been kind of like, I get it, I can see it, like, you don't want kids to have bad role models. And I was like, freaking Wolverine is always smoking cigars. And if he can't smoke his cigars, then what is this even about?
He's actually Sony, though.
Oh, really?
X-Men is owned by Sony.
Fox.
Oh,
Well, Fox, yes.
Still Marvel Studios.
Is it? I didn't think that they actually had any.
It was.
Marvel Studios, I believe, covers all of the Marvel licensed movies, even though Disney doesn't necessarily have the, like Wolverine.
Well, I wonder how that's going to play
Is
out
it a
then.
Disney policy then, or?
I could be
It
wrong
says
about it.
Disney
We'll have to
policy.
fact check that, but
Yeah,
I believe
fact
that's
check.
how it is.
Okay, but yeah, X-Men is Fox, Spider-Man is Sony. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Though not really anymore. It's like a half and half type thing now. But I thought that was kind of interesting. And then another, and this is a little bit bigger on the scale of everything. It looks like Disney is going to be pulling out all of their studios in Georgia if the anti-gay marriage bill is passed. And so, this would mean huge. First of all, it'd be really expensive for Disney because you have to now relocate all of these movies that were being shot in Georgia, which, Guardians of the Galaxy, I can't think of them. There's a ton of them, though. A lot of movies. The Avengers movies were sometimes shot there. They're talking about, like, AMC is doing the same thing, too. And AMC is The Walking Dead, and all of The Walking Dead is shot in, around Georgia.
That's more on location. They actually almost have a little bit more incentive to shoot there, too.
Yeah. So it's, and because of this, it's like, not even just for these studios, but the economy of Georgia. You make so much money on having these thousands of people who are there for, 9 months at a time, eating food in the area, staying in the area, hotels, using their facilities that they charge for. So it's like, if all of these people move, how big of an a hit is that going to be on their economy?
See, and I think that's a big enough incentive that it's going to force them to not pass this bill. And it's a really easy gamble for Disney to make because, yeah, it will cost them money, but it pretty much sends them a message that you cannot do this.
Mm-hmm.
And they get good publicity out of it, and at that point it's no cost to them. It's just them telling them no.
I don't want to get too political on here. I think that I do support what Disney is doing in this particular case. But it's a little bit scary to me, the idea that, you know, a company could try to use its influence that publicly for its own political agenda. And I do agree with them in this case, but I don't really hope that that's something that's going to continue in the future on other topics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, though, at the same time, I do feel like they have a right, if it represents what the people of that company feel and what all of the people working on those movies feel, which, I mean, Hollywood kind of tends to be more democratic anyway. If it represents what they believe, I do feel like they have a right to do it, to kind of lobby against it. So, you know, because it's kind of a scary realization because, like, that is a lot of money, and a lot of money is controlling policy.
It's a lot of leverage.
Yeah. So it is kind of a weird thing, but...
I mean, I don't know if I would say that Disney moving its studios out of Georgia would have an effect on people passing the bill, just because people are going to do what they want to do. You know, I don't want to get too political on here either, but I mean, I think it would kind of suck for Georgia's economy. However, you know, Disney has to do what they feel is right.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and going on to the next topic, we're going to kind of go back to DC. It's a little bit less important news, though, so kind of wanted to hit the Marvel stuff first. Wonder Woman, they just released a new image featuring her mother, her aunt, and then the High Priestess of Themyscira, kind of showing off the costuming, a little bit of the environment. Did you guys all see the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. What are your guys' thoughts, especially after just seeing the movie?
I think Wonder Woman is the movie I'm most excited to see, and I was really excited for Suicide Squad. I still am, but just the aesthetic of Wonder Woman looks really cool, and I mean, there was a lot in the image, but it's definitely piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is actually the part of the movie that I was most skeptical about, and ended up being the part of the movie that I most enjoyed. So she really rocked my socks off, and I'm very pumped for her movie.
I remember us leaving the theater, and you were like, Wonder Woman was amazing!
Yeah.
Just with your grand hand gestures of excitement.
I do a lot of grand hand gesturing.
Yes.
The Rock After soundtrack yesterday.
Oh,
yes.
It's so good.
Yes,
it's
it is.
so good.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Dan?
I mean, I think it adds a lot to the atmosphere. Like, just seeing Wonder Woman by herself in the movie, you're like, okay, that's already cool, but getting to see, like, the different characters that surround her, even as a person that hasn't read the comics, be like, okay, this could be a certain cast that'll get the story moving along and be something really interesting.
Definitely. And I think I kind of have hopes. I think I have bigger hopes for the solo movies rather than these joint effort films.
I agree.
Just because honestly, I think Batman vs. Superman was so concerned with building a universe that it forgot that it was supposed to be a standalone movie at times. So for me, I'm really excited to see the standalone movies because I think, especially Wonder Woman and Batman, and even Flash, I'm really excited for Flash too. I think that those standalone movies are going to be amazing. I'm really excited. And kind of going on with the Flash, Ezra Miller has bulked up. Have you guys seen those photos?
Saw those, yep.
Yes. And thoughts?
I think that he can bulk up as much as he wants. I just don't think he looks that much like a superhero, but I would love to be proven wrong. I know you really liked his sections in Batman vs. Superman, so maybe he'll be able to win fans over still.
I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not really going to go any more into detail on that, because it's not so much...
No, it's fine.
It's okay. It's okay. We haven't spoiled anything right now.
People
they know that
he's going to be in the movie.
Yes, people know that he's going to make a cameo. So yeah, I'm not going to say anything more on that, because like I could like say like, oh, not necessarily that, but it was something like this that I kind of liked more, but we'll just let it hang.
I'm a big
If
Ezra
you've seen the
Miller
movie,
fan.
you know what we're talking
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a big Ezra Miller fan, so I mean, I kind of agree with you, like he doesn't seem like a superhero, but I believe in his talents and his abilities, and I'd like to see him try.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing is, and I kind of was like pro Ben Affleck day one, but I know a lot of people were like, this is going to be horrible. And I was just like, yes, this is going to be amazing. And I was right. But with Ezra Miller, I think I'm kind of the skeptic, and maybe I'll be the one who's wrong next time, because people can surprise you. Obviously, Ben Affleck surprised a lot of people. So, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I know earlier I said, I was like, I wonder if he's going to stay bulky and, like, ripped. And, like, probably.
Yeah.
I feel like you just can't let that go.
Yeah. I mean, especially, if he's going to be in the Justice League movies, which, I mean, Flash is vital. Especially because so much of the time, I feel like the Justice League relies on, like, some sort of time travel, and, like, he's really the guy for that. He's the one who's doing all this crazy stuff, so, yeah. I think that he'll be around for a while. And I guess kind of going with DC, Rebirth was today, the press conference. You could have watched it live. It might even still be going. I don't think so, but it might be. And the announcements were really, really, really cool. First off, kind of an overall thing, $2.99 for comics. A lot of writers are locked in at DC now. A lot of the big ones we were worried about, Scott Snyder. He is leaving Batman, but he's going to be doing All-Star Batman, so he's still writing the Caped Crusader, which I'm very happy about. And we're seeing a lot of really cool comics, I guess, continue or be introduced. Did you guys have some favorites that were announced?
I'd be interested to see, you said that Teen Titans was coming back with a vengeance. I haven't really read too much Teen Titans, but if it gets good reviews, I'll definitely be willing to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
What I found interesting about the list, that after seeing it, was thinking about, well, some of these, are they introducing the new runs to try to prepare us for any sort of movies showing up or anything like that? Especially like with Deathstroke and different things, like, are they trying to introduce people more to be like, oh, there's these comics you can read about, because soon enough we're going to have them show up?
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that they announced is they are doing a Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman comic. And so I think that kind of proves you right a little bit with that, that speculation is like they probably are targeting that because they need to pull people in. And another one is Cyborg. They're doing Cyborg. And for those of you who saw the movie, you saw a very brief cameo. That was another one of the ones that they announced.
They said Aquaman too.
Yeah,
Which also
Aquaman.
had a brief cameo.
Which wouldn't be that surprising. I mean, Marvel's kind of doing a similar thing with Civil War 2 coming out this summer. I mean, maybe that's a coincidence, but...
Yeah,
but...
yeah, not really.
Yeah.
And then what about you, Emily? Did any of those sound... I know that you're not really a comic reader, but do any of those sound like something you would want to read?
I'd be really interested in reading more Batman comics, because I am a Batman fan. Like, even though I didn't like the movie, I'm a Batman fan in general. And I'd like to know a little bit more in depth as to the character of Bruce Wayne and Batman.
You're making my heart happy right now. Like, those words are like...
We've got lots of them at home.
I know.
So.
I know, between Thomas has a ton too, so I mean, between us, like, I feel like we got you covered. So...
I have the best friends.
Yeah, no, I think that I'm really excited for Teen Titans. I think that sounds cool. I also really love what they've been doing with Batgirl lately, and I'm really excited for Batgirl Birds of Prey also. I think that'll be pretty cool. And Wonder Woman. I like Wonder Woman a lot, so I'm excited to read that. And I'm just really happy Scott Snyder. The only thing that I'm kind of bitter about with the news is that Scott Snyder has now signed an agreement where he won't work on any other comic that's not DC. And for those of you who know Scott Snyder, like, he does a lot, and so they're, like, kind of withholding him from working on Witches or American Vampire. Just a lot of, like, these titles that I'm kind of sad that he signed this. I mean, I'm sure he was probably paid very nicely, and I really love his Batman, so I'm excited, but at the same time, I don't know. Kind of sucks.
It's understandable.
So, yeah.
That makes me afraid for American Vampire, but I think they can probably still pull it out, hopefully.
Yeah. I don't know. In fact, I don't know if his project's just going to go on hiatus until he's over the contract, because I cannot imagine anybody else writing anything he writes. He's in The Wake, Witches, American Vampire. and I feel like he's kind of the lifeblood of those, so I can't imagine them going to somebody else's hands.
Who knows? Maybe it'll bring new talent to the scene that you'll end up loving sometime down the line.
That's true. That's
Especially
so
for the silver lining.
Yes, exactly. That's true. Optimistic Emily, everyone.
Not the usual. Really.
The person who
Not-
gave a
not at all.
33 to Batman versus Superman.
Gotta go for the pessimism sometimes.
So I think that about wraps us up though with DC news and movie news. So let's hit some video games. I know that Assassin's Creed. A lot of people, and Thomas, you wrote an article about it. So how about you kind of lead us off on this?
In December, there was just this viral marketing image that came out, and it was like a business card for an Abstergo employee from the movie. And if you called the number or emailed it, there was just a reference to like he would be back in the he was busy and he'd be back in the office on March 25th, which just so happened to be a kind of important day with Batman vs Superman coming out. So people thought that maybe a trailer was going to be released alongside it. And I remember we were in the movie and there was that trailer for what was it, Angry Henry or whatever.
Oh yeah, Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry, yeah. Which looks interesting, but I totally thought that was going to be an Assassin's Creed movie trailer, and it wasn't. So it was kind of disappointing. The next day...
Because it kind of looked like it at
It
first.
did,
Like,
yeah.
you saw the person on the medical table and the woman, and you're like,
I was
is
like,
this it?
this is it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the X-Men trailer started out with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah,
I was
so you're like,
I
is
knew
this
what that
it?
No.
But, yeah, and then the next day, they basically just added a little bit to the voicemail of, I think it's Michael Fassbender.
Yeah,
Maybe just
it
like
was...
saying the tenets, and I don't know, it was really disappointing.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of stupid.
And it was
to be
Jeremy
honest.
Irons who did the voice originally, right?
Yeah, Alfred.
Yes. I love Jeremy Irons. I love his voice,
So. Great
too.
Alfred.
He is
yeah.
good.
Yeah, he was amazing as Alfred. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a really big Assassin's Creed fan, thanks to Thomas, and I was really excited to potentially see a trailer, especially with it coming out so soon. And I listened to the voicemail, and I was like, thanks.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for nothing.
Well, like, thanks for telling us this thing that they say in like every game already.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a really missed opportunity.
Yes, I
Yes.
agree.
Yeah. Even if they'd had something a little bit more, I would have been like, okay, I really like viral marketing. I think it's cool, but this was just, they could have done more.
I wish they would have had a trailer at the beginning of Batman vs Superman, and I think that would have been such a smart move. And part of me wonders if there was intent there with like that date, because like that's just so coincidental.
If
You know
they
what
just
I mean?
wanted to
Yeah,
get it on,
they
just
wanted
didn't
to.
quite get it in.
Yeah, or
it's
like if they had
possible.
something where they couldn't get it in on time, or something came like I don't know what happened, but
That could very well be true.
I think that there must have been something. It seems way too coincidental.
Ubisoft doesn't know anything about production delays, though. So.
Yeah,
That's never happened.
yeah.
Maybe all the poor reviews made them pull the trailer off. They didn't want to put it on attached to the front of Batman vs Superman.
I feel like that decision would have been made sooner.
I think
True.
so too. I don't know though. I don't know when that decision's made, so that could be something.
We could have a lot of different theories.
Yeah, but I almost feel like even though they saw that it was getting bad reviews and this and that, I don't think that necessarily would have made them pull it, because it's still a wide audience. They still know that even if they get bad reviews. I mean, as we're seeing, in Batman vs Superman, highest grossing movie on an Easter Thursday or something. It was some like weird record like that. And it's going to surpass Avengers 2 is what they predict, which was obviously hugely grossing. So I mean, people are still seeing it. People would have still seen the trailer if they would have put it in there. So I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of weird. Okay, and so for our last bit of news today, we're going to talk a little bit about the criticism that Microsoft is facing right now. They've been promising, since the Xbox One was announced, that they could keep up with 1080p graphics, and it's looking more and more like they can't. They can't deliver on this promise. Quantum Break, which is their big title that they're releasing right now, is by the same people who did Alan Wake, and it was kind of their way of competing with PlayStation 4, especially the Uncharted collection that's coming out soon, and Uncharted 4. It can't handle 1080. They had somebody go in there and test it, and it's actually running at 720, which is significantly less. But I guess the real question comes down to, are we holding them to too high of a standard? Does it not really matter? Or are they kind of at fault for saying this stuff and then it's not being delivered?
Dan probably has a much better eye for this than I do. For me, if it looks like it's good, then great. I'm not going to go in and be like, oh no, it's 720, not 1080. If it looks like it's good, as long as it's not like, running at like 4 frames per second and it looks like it's claymation. Like that's fine. But if they say something, I expect them to hold to it. Like that's just, I don't want to be lied to, and I don't want other people who would have more technical experience with this also be lied to.
And something that'll be near to Dan's heart, because I know that you would probably have things to say about this, because you were very loyal to Microsoft for a really long time. It's like Dark Souls 3, which I know is one of your favorite game series. It's running at 1080 on PlayStation 4, 1080 on PC. They just announced they can't get it past 900 on Xbox.
And see, that's a real issue, and I feel like it's going to make people move to PC and PS4 possibly. Especially diehard Souls fans that are wanting to keep up along with the series. Why do 900 when you can get 1080?
Would you move?
I mean, I'm already on
He's already
PS4.
on
Oh, you are now,
PS4,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, though, if you had bought an Xbox One, would you move?
I would not, because it doesn't matter that much to me. 900 is not that far off from 1080, and I think it's a little silly because, I mean, yes, you could tell there's a difference, but a game can still be beautiful under 1080.
Yeah.
That makes my heart melt, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
They're really hitting me right
That was
here.
very beautiful.
So,
I mean, we all know Thomas is no 1080.
Oh.
Okay, you are. You are 4K,
I'm actually a
Thomas.
720.
You are 4K.
yeah.
We're all 4K.
I still agree with Thomas though that if they're trying to promise it and saying that they can do 1080, that they either need to deliver that or stop making promises they can't keep.
Yeah.
Especially, it's with Quantum Break, their title that's supposed to be competing with. I mean, have you guys seen any of the footage from Uncharted 4? Or like the little.
I saw a little bit of E3. I haven't really been keeping up with it that
It
much.
looks like a video.
It looks insane.
He is a person.
It looks insanely good. And so it's like for Quantum Break to be. In Quantum Break, if you see some of the stills from it, it looks beautiful. But when they actually got to gameplay, it was.
I kind of
Yeah.
find that for a lot of games though, like when you watch the gameplay at E3 or like before it comes out, it's all like, yes, like this is awesome. And then when you play it, you're like, oh, it's kind of just, like it's nice,
More of
but
the
it's
same.
not anywhere near what they advertise as.
Yeah. I think all in all, my personal opinion is like, I don't think it matters that much. But I agree with Thomas. Like, if you promise something, you gotta deliver it.
Yeah.
Or just stop making promises. I think that's what it comes down to.
It'd probably make more sense for them to be like, hey, that's something we just can't do right now, maybe in the future, but we're focusing on other parts, other qualities of our games that we think need attention.
Yeah,
Release
definitely.
a statement like that rather than making false promises.
No, it's kind of like the car thing where when they tell you the specs on a car, it's, and I don't really know that much about cars, so I don't even know why I'm saying this, but when they tell you the specs about a car, they tell you about in like a prime environment how it would run. So
Yeah.
there's like,
Yeah.
perfect air in the, like optimized air in the tires, optimized gasoline, very little resistance of any kind, which is something you'll never encounter on the
Yeah.
road. So it's, maybe that's what they're doing, and they're running these games in an optimized version of the console somehow, and that's how they're getting away with it. But don't do that. That's useless information. Don't do that to us.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
Yep.
All right, but I think that wraps us up today. You guys have anything else to add? Anything you wanted to say?
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty successful first time for both of us over here.
You guys did amazing.
It was all right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a veteran
We
now,
did
so
all right.
old pro over here, Thomas.
Maybe you learned a thing or two from me.
Yeah. Rubbing shoulders with the best over here.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, visit us on Facebook, visit our site, any other sort of social media we have. Give us a
Our
check.
Tinder.
We have a group Tinder. Be sure
You
to.
get one, you get all
it's
of
a
us.
package deal.
Yep. And that's the way that it works.
Packages. Yeah.
You know, that would be like equally like terrifying and amazing. Like, having like a new group of people. I'm just gonna stop.
We're just gonna
Sorry,
stop.
Tinder.
That's what we're gonna end it with. We're just gonna stop. I'll see you guys later.
You watched me play the demo for 13
Okay, but you know what? Why is 13 the way it is? Like, that's my question. Okay, it's like the game used to be strategic. You cannot be strategic when you are not controlling all of your party members. In addition to that, you're healed after every battle. What?